Nation, and welcome to the next episode of Philcast. With me today, I have a very special guest, Joe Blackburn, who is our Chief Business Officer. Now, you might not have met him yet. He is kind of new on the Philcoin team, but I will hand over to him and get him to introduce himself because he comes with loads of experience and an amazing background story.
What's up, everybody? Thank you, Tatum. It's exciting to be here. First off, I've been looking forward to our first Philcast episode for some time now, and so we finally get a chance to knock this out, and hopefully many more to come. Right, but I appreciate the opportunity to be here with everybody as far as the Philcoin team itself, but more importantly, you, the community, everybody who's part of this project. And I come from a pretty extensive social media background in crypto. I was in Bitcoin and crypto very early. First time I ever bought Bitcoin, everybody, was at the first time Bitcoin ever went to $1,000. I was convinced to buy Bitcoin. And then 3 months later, we're like at $180. So talking about bear markets, I've seen them. I've been part of them. That's how I got into, right, is that FOMO. But I probably around 2015, 2016, I started taking crypto a little more seriously. I started looking into the sovereignty and the identity and ideology of what Bitcoin stood for. And by late 2016, I was really struggling to find proper communities that existed throughout the crypto space. And I don't want to carry on too long, but I've created several groups, everything from Crypto Coin Trader, which is kind of my baby, the one that I'm probably known for best, and that's CCT. It's on Facebook, and among other groups that I admin and am part of. I'm really fortunate to have built a space for myself in crypto, but most importantly, that I've been able to find value from and professional rewards from being part of the space.
Awesome, Joe. Well, we are so grateful to have you as part of the team. I mean, you've just been an incredible addition. You've taught me personally so much about the space, as people have come to know over the last few podcasts, and also, the time that I've spent within the public eye through our communities. People know I've got a traditional background, so I've been learning as I go, but I have learned so much about crypto from you personally in the last few months that I'm truly grateful for it. Now, someone with your experience and your background, I'm sure you've got loads of job opportunities and you've got a wide network as well. Why Philcoin? What is it about the project that drew you in and made you choose to be here?
Yeah, that's a great question. One of the things when Dunstan first introduced me to Philcoin and what Philcoin was doing, that I'd asked him, and what I wanted an answer to is what is Philcoin doing during the bear market? And when I really started peeling back the layers and looking into the infrastructure that's already established, I was blown away with all the activity, all the things, all the development that's actually happening. And it's one of the core principles of what I look for in a long-term project, and something that, whether I'm looking to buy something and hold it as an investor, or if I'm looking to work or be an advisor, the formula is the same. Is what can they provide during that bear market to sustain them throughout that cold hibernation winter, to get them to the bull market, to really get that exposure when people are really excited about crypto. And what Philcoin has, and what the CEO Jerry's doing, and along with the entire team like yourself, Tatum, I can't say this enough, that there is so much to look forward to with this project. And it was absolutely clear. I know I'm trying to be a little bit careful on what I say, because I don't know what I'm still absorbing what we have released, what's going to be released, and I don't want to mess up your awesome marketing plan, right? So good things coming.
Thank you so much, Joe, and thank you for the support as well. I mean, like I said, you have been a great support on the team. You're such a great team player as well. So thank you for sharing those insights into the project and what's to come. One of the key points that you touched on, obviously, is bear market, and this has been a massive talking point for the last over a year. We've been going through it. People are starting to feel a little bit anxious. They're starting to feel restless. What's happening next? So, what are your thoughts on the bear market right now, and your thoughts on where we're at?
Yeah, as I said earlier, that my first experience ever buying Bitcoin was when it hit its all-time high in 2013, November 2013, I think, if I remember correctly. Bitcoin ran to $1,000. People were like, "Hey, this is going to go to $1 million. You better get it." And I'm like, "Oh wow, yeah, I better get it." And so I was much younger. That was like my entire savings account was $1,000, and I used it all in Bitcoin. And 3-4 months later, I lost it all, essentially. And I use that experience, and I bring that story back up to say this, is that it's common, and it's really, really predictable almost for most people who are experiencing this for the first time, to be like, oh wow, this may never come back. And of course, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, folks. I mean, I know Tatum, I speak for you when I say we're not financial advisors. It's not our trade. That's not what we're doing. So these are our opinions, right? And so my opinion has always been, hey, look, this is worth a shot. And I've told everybody, look, never buy more than what you're going to be absolutely terrified to lose. And if you're responsible in your approach to how you diversify your asset, and I'm not just talking about crypto, if you're responsible though in how you diversify and you give yourself a chance to overcome losses by not destroying you, you can sit back and relax. What I usually find is the people who have gone all in or who have just really over leveraged themselves in a position where they can't sustain themselves, or they can't, we've all been there before, one way or the next, whether it be when you're 20 years old in college, or whether it's when you're, I mean, 37 like me, right? So my words of advice are always just be patient and zoom out, look at the charts, be aware of what's happened in the past, and then predict through the previous historical movements of Bitcoin what we can potentially see going forward. And if it's anything like the entire history of Bitcoin, green skies ahead.
Love that response, Joe. The bear market is definitely a time for people to buy and hold, as we normally say, and also to remain firm on their beliefs as well. Like you said, Bitcoin is proof that there's a long-term view ahead, and there are going to be few fruitful times to come. So I want to know, as somebody who obviously is very big in your crypto community, I'm sure that you have friends and family who also look to you for wisdom. I'm not going to say advice, because obviously we're not sharing financial advice, but they look to you for guidance, for reassurance on what's happening in the market. What's your usual sort of script, I would like to say, when it comes to those
Sure.
conversations?
Yeah, I mean, and of course, this kind of goes back to what I was saying before about, most people who are panicking or really, really freaked out have just overbought or over leveraged. And I've been there, as noted. But my what I try to remind people of is, if you look at Bitcoin's beginning and you get through the first 2 years and you see that rise from 0.0000 USD cents. I mean, it had no value. It was free. They had these things called Bitcoin faucets. You could literally go and just claim Bitcoin for free for doing nothing. And we're not talking about like a little bit of Bitcoin. We're talking about full Bitcoins were free. You could just go to these faucets. And those days are so far and so removed from even the idea of what Bitcoin could have or would have been at that point. Like, these days now, we're looking at Bitcoin at a strength around $20,000, $30,000. You should have heard us 4 or 5 years ago talk about, what is Bitcoin going to be in 5 years? What's Bitcoin going to be in 10 years? And now it's here, because back then we were under $1,000 still, hovering back and forth. There used to be this correlation with the price of gold. The traders would trade it up to the price of gold, and then they would short it down. They would sell off. And then that worked until it didn't, right? And then now it's like this new recent correlation is the stock market. Well, guess what? It's not just Bitcoin that's been in a recession per se. It's been the entire world economy. Every market in the world is essentially struggling to some extent or the next. And if you really look at Bitcoin in 2023, what was Bitcoin in November and December, Tatum? You remember? It was like 15, 16,000. Well, we're at 26,000 at the time of this recording, 27,000 maybe. Like, if there wasn't a bear market, quote unquote, last year, like, we would be in a bull market. Like, if people's perspectives are, what's the all-time high and are we close to it? But really, it's been one of the best performing, if not the best performing major asset in the world. And so I try to remind people, hey, look, we've seen some growth. We've seen some stability step in, and now we can look at the charts and we can start predicting human behavior based on past human behavior. I don't want to get long-winded on this, right? Because this is a very exciting topic for me, and I love talking about how I try to remind people of this. But it should be comforting knowing that we're all in this together. We all want the same thing, and of course we're talking about Bitcoin here too. There's Ethereum, Litecoin, Doge. I mean, a lot of these power coins, these really well-established multi-billion-dollar market cap coins, these are the ones I look to for understanding where the market is right now and the trends.
I would love to touch on human behavior and psychology with you in the next podcast, because that's a topic I'm really passionate about as well. And it's
Absolutely.
fascinating. You know, people
It is.
people see crypto as just, you know, chart science, blockchain, all these, technical analyses. And there's a large part, if not for the most part, it's driven by human behavior. And people forget that it's humans behind crypto that's driving the whole market and where it's headed. So I think that would be an amazing next topic. Maybe we should pin
Yeah.
that down, Joe.
Absolutely, count me in. When I was the host of Bitcoin Radio back in 2018, 2019, I on the fly, I came up with this understanding, and this is something I said back then, and I'm still proud of it to this day. I've actually only on record only said it one time, and that was on that show. And that is, everybody's seen the picture of the world from space, right? Like the astronauts went up, they turned around and they took a picture of Earth, and the entire human population was in that one picture. Crazy, right?
Oh,
Well,
that's awesome.
that's really, if you look at the Bitcoin chart, the entire history of every single buy, every single sell is incorporated into that chart, that big overview chart of Bitcoin, and any other chart, obviously, for any other token. But that shows you how we can predict the future of Bitcoin. That right there. Now, pending nothing significant changes, obviously, there's a lot of variables like governments, world events, wars, et cetera, that can change things. But Bitcoin's always, to me, that safety net, and that's how I view Bitcoin. I know not everybody feels that way, but I do.
So while we're on the topic of Bitcoin, the halving is coming up in the next few months, and that's going to be a major point in crypto history for us. I know you've been through a few of those cycles. What can we expect, and what kind of impact has it had on the markets and on people previously?
Absolutely. The first thing I want to say is a lot of people don't understand even what Bitcoin halving is or why it's important. They just hear bear and bull cycles. So I'll kind of preface this with, right now, every single hour, essentially, all right, a block is mined about, let's say, I was going to tell you how many blocks there are in the entire cycle, but regardless, there's 6.125 or 6.25 Bitcoin halved per block. Okay. That's 6.25 Bitcoin being put on the market and sold. And that is a huge amount of Bitcoin when you look at it over the course of every hour, every 10 minutes, every hour, every day, every week, every year. And before that, it was 12. Before that, it was 24. So the halving halves the supply of Bitcoin every single cycle, right? Every 4 years or so. It's actually done by blocks. But this right here is a huge move, because what it does is it decreases, like I said, the sell pressure over the course of an entire year, that less Bitcoin being put on the market, but it also increases the rarity of Bitcoin. It's obviously, it sounds pretty self-explanatory and almost too simple to even acknowledge, but it truly also increases rarity because there's less Bitcoin being supplied. Now, everybody knows Bitcoin's finite. There's 21 million total Bitcoin that can ever exist. That'll continue to the year. The halvings will continue to the year 2140 as on this time frame. And every single 4 years cycle is going to have this halving. And so this next one that we're going to get is going to be less than 4 Bitcoin. It's going to be 3.1 Bitcoin, right? 3.1 new Bitcoin minted every single block. This is such a small number. Like when I first started this was 8-9 years ago now, whatever 2013 is from here, 10 years ago. Wow. That time frame, we had 40 something Bitcoin coming out every single block. That's just a huge decrease in and you can see the relevance to that in the charts. Now, I kind of draw out that story. The Bitcoin halving cycle propels us. Once that halving happens, typically it starts a little bit beforehand, but it really starts booming over the next 2, 3, 4 months. You start seeing that increase and that stability of strength, and people getting interested in the rarity starting to catch up with the markets. And then we see boom, bull cycle, right? And so the bull cycle really is set off by the halving.
And so how would you suggest, or how would you say people should best prepare for the Bitcoin halving on a personal basis?
Yeah, that's a great question. Again, obviously, I'm not a financial
This
advisor.
is not financial advice.
This is my own opinion. But yeah, Tatum, that's a great question though. Like, I've never actually had it proposed to me in that statement, the way that you just said it. But preparing for the bull cycle is different for everybody. I would say that for me, I want to stack sats, as they would say, start accumulating Bitcoin Satoshis in anticipation. And I'm not just saying Bitcoin here, because obviously Ethereum, I mean, other altcoins, I mean, Philcoin, obviously, I mean, these are projects that if I believe in them, I feel very confident. I don't care what the price is going to do as far as like tomorrow or next week. I care about what the price is going to be over the course of the next 12, 24, 36 months. And if you believe in a project, whether that be as big as Bitcoin or Ethereum, or, you know, I don't consider us the little guy, but we're definitely just making our way here at Philcoin. You know, if you believe in this project, you know, you should feel comfortable making responsible moves to put yourself in. I mean, look, people used to say, at 600, 700 bucks, you're an idiot, Joe. Why are you buying Bitcoin? You know, because I'd already bought it at 1,000, right? And then as it kept dropping, $500, $600, you think I care that it went down to 180 bucks now, even when I was buying more Bitcoin to try to average down? Surely it's not going to go any lower. Again, this is back in 2013 or 2014, actually, at this point. But in 2014, after I'd already bought at the all-time high, starting on its way down, I'm like, oh no, maybe if I buy more, I can average it down. And then when it goes back up, surely it'll go back up. No, but now I don't care. I'm like, it's a huge mark of like of OG-ness, right? Like that I was able to buy Bitcoin at that price. So, and in fact, I didn't even buy it the low. I was like, man, this is going down to 20 bucks. I wish I would have bought it at 180 bucks, but I don't care that it was 180 to 500, right? So I make that statement to say this is that, you know, the ends justifying the means, right? And in this case, hindsight is 2020, but that's different every step along the way. Like, you either believe in it or you don't. I don't want to ramble on about that too long. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. I mean, try to
Yeah,
put
it
it all
makes
together.
perfect sense. You know, like you said earlier, don't put in anything that you're not willing to lose, essentially. But if you want to, you know, take full advantage of the potential bull run that's coming up soon, then try and get into the projects that hold some sort of potential and some sort of future. You know, look at projects, I suppose, that, you know, have utility, have an ecosystem, have a platform, have a vision behind it, have the right team on board as well. You know, on that point, actually, I want to understand what you look for when it comes to future projects. I mean, people know, obviously, do your own research and understand, you know, what the vision and mission is behind the project. But what else is there that's perhaps not as clear to people who are just starting out?
Absolutely. So because we're here at Philcoin, I'm going to use Philcoin as an example, right? So there's a very clear mission of Philcoin. This is a giving first concept that is very brand new to blockchain. And when I first heard about Philcoin, probably about a year ago, when Dunstan first came to me and told me about, you know, what he was working on. Dunstan and I have known each other since 2017. I've watched Dunstan, you know, in the space in different places, really hesitant to put his name on projects, and he's had many opportunities, I know himself. And so I was a little bit taken back that he had kind of settled in on a singular project. And so when I spoke with him, again, I'm using this as an example to answer your question. You know, the infrastructure that he started describing about the app and, you know, the Phil education concept, the Phil social, the big things that really were being worked on and still are being worked on, obviously, this was really exciting for me. And it's a perfect example to say, like, when you see stuff like what Philcoin has done, where they have an actual app, folks, I don't know if you realize it's not easy to go get a crypto-based project approved by the Apple App Store and then open and available to download without really, I mean, of course, there's development going on, but the hiccups that we've had are bugs that any project is going to go through, of course. But this is a huge win. Go look at the amount of projects that are trying to get apps on the App Store right now that cannot, that are promising, hey, we're going to be on the Apple App Store. Now, Google Play is a little bit easier. And not to take away from the Android nation, I'm an iPhone guy personally, but the point is, this is a perfect example of one of the things that would check one of the boxes, right? Core team, what is the experience? Who's actually participating? What are the partnerships? These collaborations, a lot of them aren't public for every company because they're saving them for marketing purposes for when it's going to make sense. So finding a lot of this information takes a lot of due diligence, takes a lot of message board fodder, you know, sorting through. So there's no one set way to do it, but these are personally what I'm looking for and how I'm doing my research, using Philcoin as obviously an example. I'm biased, of course, everybody. Full disclosure, I work for Philcoin.
But thank you for using Philcoin as an example. And thank you for all the things that you also mentioned about Philcoin and about the vision and where we're headed. Now, you know, on the flip side of what we've been speaking about, which is, you know, having ecosystems and people behind it and understanding the vision of a project, We are in the middle of meme season right now, and there are some memes. I'm not sure if I am able to really mention the names on the podcast, but I'm sure everybody will know what I'm talking about. There is a certain meme that went absolutely viral and created incredible hype. I mean, as a marketing person, I couldn't believe the hype that was created
Yeah.
on Twitter, especially, and that's no easy feat. But when you actually look behind the project, there's no actual utility, there's no app, there's no people, there's no vision. It purely is based off of a meme. Now, what are your thoughts on the current meme season, and why do you think it's created such hype to such a tremendous scale?
Sure, that's a great question. First off, I have no problem with the meme community or the meme coins. I think that they're a interesting and pointless variation of crypto that gives crypto a really bad name to a lot of people. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to make your own decisions, and you've got to live with your results. I mean, the consequences can be good or they can be bad, you know, as far as, you know, playing the meme coin game. But I mean, to your point, you know, you mentioned how behind the curtain, you don't even have to really look behind the curtain. You go to the website and it literally says there's no purpose. I'll paraphrase. There's no point or
Yeah.
purpose to this token. It is just for entertainment purposes only, right? Like there was no reason beyond just trading it and maybe it go higher. Like people, it's the closest thing to a Ponzi scheme without being a Ponzi scheme in crypto. And you can see that not only did it go way up, but it came way back down, and then it went up again, came back down again, and it's going to continue that as the traders get a hold of it and less new money gets infused. But you know, meme season is something that I call the opportunity to have fun, to lose, to win, but it should be viewed as like a lottery ticket. Like, and I don't condone going to play the lottery or going to the casino for that matter. I don't want to give the impression that I'm saying, oh yeah, go play the lottery. But if you're gonna play the meme coin games, you're as likely to lose as you are to win. It's unpredictable. It's truly unpredictable. Times I thought that meme coin could never go any higher, and that 1000x from that moment, right?
Mhm.
Or the times that I'm like, oh, this thing is just getting started, and boom, collapse. So here, this is what Joe Blackburn does. Of course, it's not financial advice either. But you know, if I got an extra $50 laying around in Coinbase and Ethereum or in whatever native layer one token, you know, the meme coin's on, yeah, I'll go have fun with it. But I will never put myself in a position to lose precious Bitcoin or precious Ethereum before a bull run on the lottery chance of hitting it big. You know, so that's what I say about meme season. Are we in meme season? I think people are bored and they're also looking just to do something. And so when you do catch that wave of momentum and hype, have fun. I mean, be responsible, make your own decisions, and don't believe that these things stick around forever. They don't.
Awesome. Now on the topic of boredom, like you said, do you think people are bored of NFTs yet? It seems to have died down a little bit. Do you think that you know, there's going to be another resurrection of NFTs, or do you think we sort of starting to see it fizzle out?
Yeah, I actually get this question quite often to some degree or the next, right? Like, what do you think about the NFTs? And I want to preface what my statement with this is that, you know, up to this point, Tatum, what would you say, just personally speaking? I mean, because you're probably a great cookie cutter snapshot example of like someone who's intrigued but unsure, right? I mean, it's self-described early when you first started talking on the interview here. But what would you say is your one sentence understanding of what a NFT is?
Oh
Keep it short.
gosh,
Yeah,
that's
just
really putting me on the
there's no
spot,
wrong
isn't it?
answer. Yeah.
Well, for me, it's a digital asset, right? It's a digital asset
Like a
that has the
collectible, would you say it's
yeah,
like a collectible?
a collectible asset that has the potential to, you know, provide you a passive income, if anything.
Sure.
And you know, the possibility to be part of something. For me, I see
Yeah,
NFTs
that's
as
fair.
well as a little bit of community building. You know, you, like the Bored Ape Club. You know, you're part of something. It helps
Yep.
you feel like maybe it gives you a sense of importance. It gives you a sense of belonging as well.
Great answer. Truly, that's a great answer, and I appreciate you answering that question on the spot, Tatum. I'm sorry for doing that to you, but
I mean, geez, I thought I was interviewing you here.
the reason why I ask is because I think what you just said sums up, and I'm very impressed with how you answered that. because I look at the NFT community very differently than that. And that's not to say that I'm right or you're wrong. It's to say that we're seeing two different variations of what NFTs are. And, being someone that I've worked on the interior of several, crypto projects in the NFT era of crypto, that I've seen what they're expecting to do. And I'm going to give you an example, right? One day you're going to have a passport that is a NFT potentially, or you're going to have a deed to a house, or the title to your vehicle is going to be an NFT. Why wouldn't it be? Why would you need to have a collection of physical paperwork when you can have a guarantee that never gets lost, that never has to ever be, I guess you could say, like when you lose a title or something, you've lost title and you got to apply for a lost title. These things will never ever have to happen again. And the custodial options that will exist at that point will put us in a position where it'll be much easier to keep up with, seed phrases or, your private keys, et cetera, for these wallets. But to me, the NFT world has yet to even start. And this collectible aspect, this idea of community and all these other things, absolutely true in this moment, and probably true for the next year or two, right? I mean, I don't see NFTs fully developing into a worldwide accepted phenomenon yet. But what the future of NFTs are is very, very different than what the current state of NFTs are. And, it's the interaction. What people don't realize is the NFTs allow you to interact with a smart contract while still maintaining ownership and providing proof that you are part of something or you're holding something without having to give it up or to even show it to somebody. The smart contract reads, like through the smart contract that the NFT is on, it is read and it is acknowledged by these different programs and softwares that decide whether or not, hey, this is factual or this is false. And so there's no guess or opinion there. It's either true or not true that you are holding this NFT. So this right here is such a huge advantage for people who could utilize this within their. I actually have some ideas about that, but some of my friends are currently working on some things. I'll kind of be quiet on it, but some great ideas are coming out of the space regarding that. Does that make sense too? Hopefully.
Oh yeah, I
I just
think
want to make sure I'm keeping it digestible.
Oh yeah, completely. So I think we already have our third episode down together then too. So we've spoken about human behavior as the second episode, and we can talk about NFTs as the third one, because I totally get it. There's so much that we can uncover in the NFT space. And the way that we're seeing it right now as almost like an art form and a collectible form, as we mentioned. All right, Joe. Well, it's been awesome chatting to you so far. It is getting quite late on my side. As you can see in the background, the sky is changing. I know it's pretty early in the morning for you, being on opposite ends of the world. You are in Alabama. I'm in Dubai. And I think we've been chatting for maybe the last 40 minutes. We could go on for hours. I think
Yes,
we've once done 6 hours on a call. So let's keep the listeners engaged and end off on a fun note. So
let's do it.
I see some Halo poses in the background. I know you
Yeah.
are a gamer. I'm going to stereotype here and say gamers are also movie buffs. So I'd love to know one movie you'd keep going back to that makes you cry, and one movie that makes you laugh.
Cry, huh? What do you think I am? Some emotional mess. I would say
Everybody
like
cries. Everybody cries. Don't play
fair,
the big
that's
man.
fair. But I would say it's hard. A movie, it is harder to get to me that way. I'm just pretty good at separating that, I guess, emotion. But I would say Shawshank Redemption really inspires me, and it can, like, that's one of my favorites of all time. Cinderella Man, I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Cinderella, as in the Disney Cinderella?
No, Cinderella Man. It's about a boxer back in the yeah. He was a Cinderella
maybe
story.
Maybe I should cut my comment out of the podcast.
I kind of like it. Go ahead, leave it, because you're probably not the only person who asked that question, actually. So, but Cinderella Man is a great, coming of age movie. Russell Crowe, I think, is the actor that's the main star. It's been a while since I've seen it, but it's still.
I do like Russell Crowe, so yeah, I'll check it out.
And then one that makes me laugh. I'm an 80s baby, right? And so in the 90s and early 2000s, when I kind of grew into my who I am today, I guess you could say. And so I would say Dumb and Dumber was my first favorite movie ever.
Oh, yes.
Outside of like children's movies, and then Super Troopers. That's classic too. It's a little bit not suitable for work, but it's still funny.
Well, I'm not fully aware of Super Troopers, but of course, anything with Jim Carrey is hilarious. I would have probably said Pet to Death pet detective as well on my side. I mean, he's just a complete character. Sometimes I feel like he's
Yeah,
he's
he
an
is.
alien. He's
Well,
not
what about
even
you?
he's not even
Hold
human.
on. Yeah, I agree, but like, which one makes you cry? Like, let's hear this.
Oh, one that makes me cry. I mean, just that I can cover up my mistake earlier, thinking you meant Cinderella Disney. I'm a big Disney fan, so one
So,
Disney movie that makes me cry would be The Lion King. But in terms of
but
real
when
life,
Mustafa dies, I mean, that I could have added that one too. Like, I don't even watch that
exactly.
movie, so I because of that.
Yeah, 100%. I've also watched the live action, and Waterworks just as badly in the live action.
That's fair. That's fair.
And then in terms of real life, human characters, I would say The Green Mile. I
Yeah,
I think I've actually come to a point where I can't watch it anymore because it just becomes more and more emotional for me the older I get.
that is a true
Um,
classic. Yep.
and one movie that makes me laugh, yeah, Dumb and Dumb is pretty good. I'd also say the 40-year-old virgin. That's a pretty good one too
That's
on
fair.
my
That's a
side.
classic. Yep. Yep. I guess people are going to know that we're not, like 18 years old anymore because those are some classic movies that we had to be around for. So, at least we're showing our age. You couldn't tell by the looks of us, though, obviously.
No, no, no. I mean, nobody could judge by that beard. So
Yeah, exactly. Nice. And I guess it is coming in great. And thanks for pointing that out. All right. Well, we can wrap it up now.
we can wrap it up then. Joe, it's been fun as always.
Absolutely.
I thoroughly enjoyed chatting with you and getting to know more about this crypto space. And you do it in such a fun, lighthearted way. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. And one of the key things that I found really resonated with me throughout our conversations, you always say this, is that it's just common sense. Crypto is just common sense, and I think a lot of people do find it overwhelming because it's still a futuristic concept. It's still very
Yep.
much in its early days, and a lot of people don't quite understand it. And because they don't understand it, they not willing to put in the work to really just go in and read a little bit more about it. But it truly is common sense. The more that you read about it,
Really is.
the more that it's just so simple. It just it makes perfect sense, and like we said earlier, it's driven by psychology. It's driven by human emotions, the same way that you can look at anything else in life, and how it's driven in terms of demand, and prices, and FOMO and fear, and all of those emotional terms. So thank you so much for being on today, and I know that the
Absolutely.
community is going to see much more of you as we go along. But any final words from your side before we
Absolutely.
sign off?
Yeah, Tatum, thank you for hosting this. I look forward to standing next to you in many episodes to come as your co-host and picking up some of the really big burden. I know how much you do for this company. It's been a privilege to be on this, but more importantly, it's a privilege to work alongside of you and to watch you really put your hands and your hard work and your effort into this project. Folks, make sure that when you see Tatum online, show her some love. She's doing a lot more than anybody really understands. And of course, as a man of faith, I'm very thankful to be part of such a faithful group and a project that really is inspiring the world to be different. And it's really cool to be part of this. So thank you for your time. Thank you for assuming that people would find this interesting enough to bring me on. But I look forward to our next one.
Thanks, Joe. And just a disclaimer to the community, I did not pay him to say all those nice things. So thank you, Joe, for being online, and thank you
Was I
for
not
sharing
supposed
your
to,
wisdom today.
was I supposed to wait till the next one? Is that what you told me? I'm just joking. No, she did not. And I mean that, Tatum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. And thanks for listening, and thanks for tuning in. We hope that you will tune into the next one. Like we said, there's more to come, and possibly talking about psychology and NFTs. So have a good day, everyone. God bless. Bye-bye.